perfect IELTS listening.
Part 3. Question Analysis. Type 1. Multiple choice.
Section 1. Good afternoon, Brookfield Children's Museum. How may I help you?
Oh, hello. Good afternoon. My name's Leah Brent. I checked your website and I found it very interesting, and I do have some questions.
No problem, Mrs. Brent. By the way, I'm John. So what do you want to know?
Actually, John, my family just moved here 2 weeks ago, so we're still getting to know Brookfield City.
Oh, well, in that case, welcome to Brookfield City.
Thanks, John. Anyhow, my husband and I plan to take our children to some interesting places when the holidays arrive. We thought it would be good to take the children to a museum.
Ah, that's great, Lee.
I agree. But first, could you give me some ideas on what activities your museum offers? By the way, I have a 5-year-old child and 8-year-old twins. All are boys, so I guess they will be quite rambunctious.
Well, don't worry about that. You see, the Brookfield Children's Museum offers many kinds of activities for children of various ages.
Like what?
Well, for instance, we have an area called the Fun Library. Here children can browse through a collection of interesting books or use the computer stations to explore their interests.
That sounds intriguing. What else do you have?
We also have a nature trail for the little explorers out there. Here children can play in sandboxes or choose to learn about the small animals exhibited in the area.
Wow, that sounds appealing.
Well, the museum aspires to give children unique and memorable experiences, aside from allowing them to cultivate their varied interests.
That's great. By the way, do you also have areas where little girls can play? I'm thinking of bringing my 10-year-old niece too.
We do, actually. We have the dolls and houses area. I guarantee that your niece won't get bored there. She can play with different kinds of dolls and dress them up in many ways. There are also a number of pretty doll houses that she can play with.
Interesting. Well, what if she's not into dolls?
There's still so much to choose from, Mrs. Brent. There's our Little Chefs section, which allows children to play with dough, pretend to shop for groceries and the like. Here, they can pretend to be cooks or bakers. There's also the Lost in a Maze area, where children can crawl through a maze that has a surprise in every corner. There's also the Lost in Space section. As the name implies, it's all about space and the heavenly bodies. The light design there is really quite impressive.
Amazing. With everything you've told me, I can't wait to bring the children there.
Great. We'll be looking forward to your visit.
Oh, just a moment. I almost forgot to ask. How much is the entrance fee?
Yes. For adults, we charge $20. That's for those who are 18 and above. We charge $10 for children below 18, while those below 5 years old are free.
I guess that's quite reasonable. So you're open from Mondays to Fridays, right?
Yes, we are. Oh, wait, let me clarify. We're open from Mondays to Saturdays. The same charges apply during Saturdays too.
Great. I can't wait to plan this outing. Thanks for your help.
It was my pleasure. Section 2. Welcome to the Elixir Gallery of Art. I'm Nigel Thomas, one of the docents here. Our gallery features modern art pieces by many local artists. We will look at painting collections whose creations span the 1980s and 1990s. The entire tour will take about half an hour, and you may ask me questions or clarifications regarding the art pieces that we will see. So, are there any questions before we start? None? All right then. Let's go. This is the first section, which exhibits paintings of the 1980s. These are generally known as the early 80s paintings. We have here a unique portrait called The Undertaker. As you can see, the artist used blacks and greys with bold strokes of red. This is the work of Anton Juno. The painting is said to be influenced by the political unrest during the early 80s. It is an oil painting on an oak panel, believed to be a portrait of Anton Juno and his wife, signed by Juno in 1984. In 1988, Juno collaborated with Mon Amir to create this beautiful painting on your right. This is called The Ascent from Darkness, wherein the artists use oil paints on canvas. Both Juno and Amir donated this painting to the Elixir Gallery of Art in 1995. Some have been interested in buying it, but unfortunately it is not for sale. It is said to be worth around $2.5 million. Anyhow, for those of you who are interested in buying some artwork, we do have some interesting modern art pieces that are for sale. However, the gallery does not normally accept walk-in buyers. We schedule auctions for selling art pieces, so those of you who are interested in the coming auctions can leave their contact information at the reception area. Now, we are entering the area showcasing the 1990 art collection. You are met by this arresting painting dominating the opposite wall. This is The Flight of the Hawks, a painting by Day-Lewis. He was largely influenced by the Baroque styles of Rembrandt and Rubens. As you can see, Lewis gave emphasis on movement and colour, much like Rubens. Conversely, this is also considered a narrative painting, which pays homage to the style made popular by Rembrandt. To the left of the painting is another artwork by Lewis called The Cage. It is believed to be a self-portrait, and many have marvelled of its almost enchanting quality. To achieve this impressive result, the artist used translucent paints. He applied light colours like silver and white against darker ones such as black, magenta and dark blue. In this method, the colours contrasted violently. However, to counter the austere contrast, the artist used layers and layers of translucent paint in order to give the painting an ethereal glow. Edges were also blended exquisitely so that no severe lines will be seen. As you can see, the colours just seem to flow from one element to another, giving the painting a unified impression. In other words, nothing stands out because every element blends and connects with all the other elements in the painting. The Cage is one of the most popular paintings in this gallery. So now, I'll give you a few minutes to roam around and soak up the artistic ambience. For those of you with questions or inquiries, please don't hesitate to approach me. Section 3.
Hey guys, have you seen that play that Mr. Anderson has asked us to review?
Yep. Henry and I went to see The Unexpected Journey yesterday.
Really? So how was it? Was it any good?
Well, you can see for yourself later, but overall I think the play was just average.
Why do you say that, Henry?
First of all, the plot was very simple. I believe most of the audience was able to guess how the play would end.
Oh, is it that predictable? Is that what you think too, Angel?
I definitely agree with Henry. It's the same old Romeo and Juliet type of love story, with no new twists. It wasn't very exciting at all.
Most of the time the characters were doing monologues, but some of the actors couldn't do the monologues very well, so some acts ended up so dull.
Oh, it's going to be a waste of money then.
Not exactly. There are some aspects of the play worth appreciating.
Really? Like what?
Well, since you're majoring in art, I think it'll be worth your time to check out the set design and lighting of the play.
Right. The set design was fantastic, and I also heard that everything was done by students from your college.
Really? I haven't heard about that. So what's interesting about the design?
Let's just say the backdrops generated more attention than the story of the play. You see, the backdrops are beautifully made. The night scenes were quite striking, especially with the light effects that they used with it.
I was just thinking about the same thing, and I liked some of the day sceneries too, but I wasn't too crazy about the costumes.
Really? I love the costumes. I think the attires were expressive and appropriate for what the play was all about. What don't you like about it?
I guess I just wasn't too impressed with it. Nothing stood out, for me, that is. Generally, the costumes were okay, though.
Now I'm having mixed feelings about the play.
Oh, don't think about it too much. Just enjoy yourself and keep an open mind about it.
Right. Anyhow, the music and sound effects were also quite good. And I'm not just saying that because I know one of the play's music directors.
Oh, right. I forgot about that. She's actually one of our classmates in Mr. Anderson's class. I could say her work on the play wasn't bad at all.
Really? Who is it?
Josephine Madsen. She's younger than most of the people involved in the play's production, but she's so talented that they made her a junior musical director.
Cool, I know her. I think that just convinced me to watch the play as soon as I can.
Well, you should. We're supposed to submit our reviews on Monday.
Oh? Then I guess I'll go and check the schedule for this afternoon. Thanks, guys.
Section 4.
Good afternoon to all of you. I'll be talking about the most recent survey done by our company, MindProbe. Now, we have been constantly hearing about the global crisis and its effect on countries, economies, and big companies. But how does this affect each person or family? Well, that's the question that MindProbe aims to answer. I'll give you an overview of some of the results of our survey. So, we prepared 3 pages of survey questions, providing some space for respondents' explanations or comments. To start with, results name fear as topmost of the list of emotional problems being experienced by people today as a result of the crisis. 82% of the respondents who answered fear state that they're afraid that they'll no longer be able to adequately provide for their families. This is especially true for married people, as you can see on graph number 2 on the screen before you. These findings show that more married people are experiencing fear compared to those who are single. Following fear is depression. About 76% of our respondents admit that they're experiencing depression. Those who check depression say that they're depressed because they can no longer do what they could before the recession started. As you can see on the graph, those who are encountering depression are mostly single. The third effect of the recession, which we believe is more of an economic rather than an emotional problem, is frugality. We've discovered that nowadays most people hesitate to spend a lot of money on unnecessary things. So they're opting to save their money for the rainy days, so to speak. In fact, this result is supported by another survey we did on banks a month ago. Just a moment, let me show you the results of that survey too. All right, so here it is. According to this survey, there are more depositors these days compared to the last 10 years. Now, going back to frugality, we've gathered some interesting facts. For instance, people who have never even thought of collecting food stamps before are now doing so. A lot of our respondents also stated that they've chosen to delay travelling, and for those who have already made travel plans before the recession, they say they've opted to cancel these. So these are some of the results of the recent survey done by MindProbe. We're actually going to publish these results in a book called Problems of the New Era, which will be available soon. For those who would like to pre-order, please give us a call at 700-333-2. Now, I'm ready for those of you who would like to ask me some questions.